Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, the tarot cards are the Art Nouveau Tarot by Matt Myers. I've had this a long time. I'm going to say close to 30 years. I don't think you can find this anymore, but maybe. That's the information. This was before website. Well, I shouldn't say it was before websites. It was definitely before websites were popular. There's the information at the top. So if you're interested, that's the information for that tarot deck. Supportive Oracle cards, Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen Reich Baskin. Website on the back is, I believe, watkinspublishing.com. Should be right there at the bottom. Feel free to check that out if you're interested. And I also use dice. I use a 22-sided dice for the major arcana, substituting 22 for 0. For the Fool, I use a 14-sided dice for the minor arcana, and then I have a 4-sided dice that I use to choose the element for that minor arcana. All these came from the dice shop, which is mathartfun.com. Hopefully you can see that website if you're interested. Hopefully it shows up on camera. mathartfun.com. Okay, with that being said, if you would like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. This is James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and let's get into your read. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Capricorn? Oh, the Three of Cups popped out when I was shuffling, and it's right here again. So the Three of Cups talks about like friendships, camaraderie, positive relationships, the way this is coming in. The way this card depicts, it can be a birth. Okay, you got the Sun card at the end. Really good energy here. That card keeps coming out whether we like it or not. Did I not shuffle these? I shuffle them, like I feel like I shuffled them to death and still the same cards seem to show up. Although I'm saying that I just did Virgo. Virgo's also an earth energy. So you might have some camaraderie with a Virgo or some type of Virgo energy. So if this reading hits, you might want to check that one too. Whatever the situation is for you, it hasn't been doing much, but I'm okay with it. My cat's messing with me. It hasn't been doing much, but you've been okay with it. It's kind of like, yeah, not a lot going on here, but the way it's been, I feel like that's kind of okay with me. I don't really want it doing a lot here. In fact, if it just stays put for now, at least I know where it is, and at least I know it's not going bad. It just reminds me of like, it reminds me of summer vacation with the kids, and it's kind of like, wherever they are, it's not like they're doing much, but I know they're safe. So it's kind of like, I feel like I have control over it. It's like, all right, they're not really doing much. They're playing video games, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. They're staying occupied, but they're in the house, and I know, like, maybe you're working from home, for example. Like, is it the greatest way for this to go? I don't know if it's the greatest, but I have other things I need to do, and I know that they're safe, and I don't have to worry about them where they are. So I feel like this makes sense. Like, is it optimal? I don't know. They could be doing some stuff, but they're not. But I do know that they're safe, and I need to be able to do what I need to do without worrying about what they're doing. And I don't have to. I have my eye on them. I can see where they are. I can see they're in their living room or in their bedrooms or wherever they need to be. I can see where they are, and they're not doing anything that's dangerous, for the most part. So it's kind of like not much going on, but still it's under control. I don't have to be concerned of like, I have to be able to jump up and handle something if it doesn't go right. It's not the worst. It's not bad. I do feel like I'm also noticing that something here is trying to change. Well, there's two cards here that are a little Let me just get some clarity on them, because I don't think they're really that bad. There's a plan coming through. So this is typically a Capricorn thing. There's possibilities. We can do things. Things can go well. Capricorn reminds me of, like, you know, if you put in the work, you get the reward. That's kind of how that's how I feel about Capricorn. I have a lot of Capricorns in my family. But it's kind of like you put in the work, you get the reward. So it's almost like, all right, so maybe you're working from home and the kids are there and they want to go somewhere, like after you're done with work, maybe later that evening, they want to go somewhere swimming. And you're like, listen, laundry needs to be done, dishes need to be done, and maybe the shed outside needs to be organized. And you're like, listen, if you get the laundry done and you get the dishes done while I'm working, I'll go out there on my lunch and I'll see if I'll move things around and see if there's something you can do out there. If you guys get all these things done for me before I'm done with work, I'll take you to that, because the things I need to get done, if they're done, if we've hit that goal, if those things are out of the way, I'll take you to, like, go swimming or whatever they want to do. But I feel like it's also in the same thing of, like, all right, those are going to be done before we go anywhere. So just heads up, if those are not done by the time I'm done with my work day, then I'm going to be doing that and you're going to be helping me anyway. So it's up to you. If you put in that work and you get this done for me before I'm done with the work day, we can do what you want to do. But if you don't, those things are going to be done first, and if there's time left, maybe we'll go to do that. And I feel like I'm getting the Three of Swords with the rejection, like if we're using that same analogy with the kids home for summer or whatever they are, and they're kind of like, well, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do actual work all day. We want to party all day and party all night. And you're like, well, that's nice, but that's not how I'm doing it. I feel like that's what I'm getting. Like, they don't want to do that. And I feel like Capricorn usually holds to their word. And it's kind of like, well, if you don't, then I don't. And I feel like you're going to remind them, well, you might. It depends on how you feel about the situation. I know this well enough. I would advise to remind them throughout the day, like, hey, by the way, these things are going to be done. You want to, but this is going to be done first. Until these are done and done correctly, you might want to also highlight that. They have to be done correctly. Like, it's not just going to be just, throw it around and good enough. We're not doing that either. Remind them, I would advise you. It makes your life easier, it makes their life easier. Remind them, hey, by the way, these things have to be done before I go anywhere, so we're not going anywhere if those things aren't done. And I would remind them maybe like 3 times during the day, like mid-morning, lunch, and mid-afternoon. Even if they start late, if at least they get some of it done, that would help you, you know what I mean? Just if it matches some version of that analogy, of course. That's the advice. That's the advice, because you have the High Priestess and the Hermit coming in kind of like, should you have to? No. Would it help you if you did? Probably. Do you have to? Clearly you don't have to. But this can go more your way. So this is where it gets a little fun. Using the same analogy. Judgment comes through. So, end of the day comes, right? They did everything they were supposed to. We're just going to say whoever they are. They did the dishes, the laundry, they organized this shed outside. It's all good. You're happy with it. We're going to say you're happy with it. And then the weather just is not going along with it. For whatever reason, the weather just says, nope, it's not going to happen that night due to some external force like weather. Judgment comes through. Okay, so what not to do is to go, sometimes life gives you those breaks. You try and you fail. It just didn't work out in your favor this time. Don't go that direction. Okay. So, okay. Don't go that direction is what they're saying. And don't hold it over. So, I feel like some of you might go, all right, well, today didn't work out, but we'll do it another day. I feel like that's not a good way to handle this. there's something else that can take its place. It's your judgment how you're going to handle it. So this is just like take it as a suggestion, because I feel people are going to get really upset, and then like I feel like the problem here is we're going to have the reluctance to participate next time. So like this is a situation that should benefit you and the other side. And I feel like you're looking at this like, well, it's not my fault that that can't work out. We'll just, make up for it later. It doesn't seem to be hitting that way, especially when you have kids. They just remember they put in all this work and then they didn't get anything for it. So it's like it's going to seem like a double fail to them. So we want to get around this energy. You don't want to hold it over, is what I'm getting. You don't want to hold it over to another time. It's because I feel like if you do, you're less likely to get the assistance you want. And this can be a pattern that can work to your benefit, and I feel like you want to keep it. The advice is to take the Queen of Wands energy. And so, for example, maybe you have money saved up. At some point you were going to take the kids to a movie, right? You weren't planning on doing it this night, but it was going to maybe be down like a couple weekends down the road. You were going to do it later. But like the way this worked out, you're like, that there is a good movie that they want to see. And if I take them to do that, that would bring forth that joy. That would bring forth that reward. And they would be very happy. They would take them somewhere they want to go. This would show them that you're still pushing forward that reward. It's something you were going to do anyway. You're just moving it. So it's kind of like, I'm going to move this here, and then later where I was going to do the movie, maybe we'll do the swimming thing then instead of, we'll just switch them. I feel like this is doable for Capricorn. I feel like it is. That will keep that energy there with like, you put in the work, you get, you put in the effort, you get out the reward. Effort equals reward. If it's not like, if it doesn't work out in that same type of time frame, even though to you it seems like, well, it still makes sense, to whoever's helping you, it emotionally doesn't feel that way, and they're emotionally going to detach from you, you're not going to get the assistance, at least not at the quality you got this time. It's not going to be as good. So it's all about how this plays out, because what you want is you want the renewal. You want to keep your benefits. You want to keep that success. You want to be able to repeat the process. You want to be able to repeat the pattern. Capricorn is very pattern-like, in my opinion. If it works that way, I'm getting that even though the situation didn't work out the way they wanted it to, they will have to, not have to, but they will more than likely, that's a better way to put it, they'll more than likely see that, you honored the situation and you helped them get that gratification they were looking for. They put in the work to get the gratification. You acknowledge that, all right, the work was done, let's do this instead, and they still got the gratification. It could end up being a wonderful memory, too, for some people, including you. Let's pull that together. Ace of Fire, and then the Hierophant. Okay, so this, even though this card looks a little bit less than optimistic, I'm not getting it as a bad thing for this situation. So, going back to that part of this analogy, kind of like, all right, I was going to do that movie later on, a couple weeks down the road anyway. I'll just switch the swimming in the movie. I'll move the movie up. I'll put the swimming back. It'll be fine. The confusion card to me, the way I'm getting it is like, you can have this plan, but maybe you should keep that to yourself. Maybe just keep how this balance is going, keep that to yourself. Because the way the situation is, it could have more left turns than you were expecting. The situation is really, really good. It is very good, but you might want to keep it to yourself, how you're planning to balance it out later. That way, if you have to make another change later, nobody's expecting anything. Because I get that there might be more changes down the road later that you will be able to make peace with, but if you have to balance your emotions and then a couple other people's because they were expecting something and they were really looking forward to it and they started building up that excitement for it and then it just didn't happen for reasons probably out of your control, it's still going to have a negative, resonance to it, a negative air to it that's just going to be difficult to get rid of. I'm getting with this, maybe you want to keep it to yourself, what you're planning to do to rectify it later. You might have that as a plan for you, but other people don't need to know that. it also kind of keeps people on their toes because they're going to think you're more random later, or you're more that you have that random quality, that more surprise quality to you that maybe is not really your thing. But giving them that perception kind of works to your benefit, keeps them on their toes, and makes them want to kind of like pay more attention when you speak, because they think you're more random than you actually are, and it gets like a higher level of paying attention towards you, higher level of concentration. There's a word here I can't seem to grab. They'll pay attention to you more because they're thinking you're more random than you actually are. Letting them have that perception could work to your benefit. Are we good? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.